All right, welcome to Industry Innovators, where we explore how leaders are shaping their industries, innovating with technology, and tackling the challenges that come with growth. I'm your host, Aaron Park, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by Jennifer Cashier, who's a VP of Product at Inhabit. Inhabit is a transforming property management with its PropTech solutions, and Jennifer is leading the product vision that is driving the company forward. So, Jennifer, thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited for the conversation and for us to meet up again. It's been a few years. And yeah, like as you said, my career has been really focused on solving problems with technology. And lately, I've really been focused on AI and automation and how that impacts the guest and property manager's experience for our software. And then also the product management experience around, creating requirements and designs and that sort of thing that for the people that actually create the software. So thank you for having
Right.
me.
Yeah. Thanks for that. So, to start off, let's talk about you personally. Do you mind sharing your past experiences and your background and how that all fits into the bigger picture at Habit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started in product about 20 years ago. That's aging me, of course, but I've always just been very product focused and product minded. Even in my personal life, there's times whenever I look at processes or products and I'm like, oh, this could be improved or this could be better. It's just kind of like who I am as a person. I really love to innovate and create products that, that people love and utilize and kind of, make their processes better or their lives better in different ways. And so yeah, I've been in it for about 20 years. I've typically been on the SaaS product leadership side. I would say the last 15 or so years, I've been on the real estate tech, prop tech side, which you mentioned earlier. You and I had met years ago working on AI solutions for a prop tech company. And so if you remember kind of looking back on that, I don't know how much, you remember about that, but there was a time whenever we were at that company, it was a prop tech company, and we would go in and say, hey, we need to, utilize AI, right? And they would say, oh, no, we don't have time for that. We don't believe in AI, yet. And this was way back in like 2018, right? When we started kind of talking to them about this. And at one point in time, I don't even know if you remember this story, but I went in to get something approved on the roadmap and I brought up AI and they told me if you bring up AI again, we're going to fire you. We don't want to hear about it anymore. And so we did kind of like a little skunkworks project with some engineers on the side to kind of develop a chatbot solution. We never really put it in production. It kind of sat there for years. And then, COVID happened in 2020. And that's whenever it kind of became a reality. We actually led that team together to build that AI powered chatbot for apartment prospects so it could answer pricing and availability and amenity questions. And it actually cut down live agent chat support by about 90%. Eliminated our hold times. And that was super important during COVID because the leasing offices were closed and suddenly our contact center had all of this communication that we needed to handle and we just didn't have the staff to do that. And so we kind of rolled out this AI solution. It was a big pivot for us. And you were a huge part of that solution. And we got that rolled out in a couple month period of time. It helped us reduce the amount of time that our contact center agents were doing chats and really made a big difference and kind of proved out. And so we were kind of doing AI before AI was cool for the prop tech world.
Right. No, I appreciate that context. And yeah, I remember you were being the visionary and trying to bring AI solutions up front
Yeah.
and, early on. And then lo and behold, it turned out that they needed it and they were like, oh, oops.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
yeah, no, it's great.
the good part was is that we had already kind of started it on the side a little bit. And so I think one takeaway from that is just, like really whatever it is that you believe in, just continue down that path. And, it prepared us to really be able to, in 2020, be able to release that chatbot in a couple of month period of time instead of it taking 6 months to a year, because we believed in that as a team and decided that, hey, this is where the industry is going and we need to continue to invest in this, even if it's not a formal investment. The team decided that and really worked together to continue to develop those AI solutions kind of on the side, and they kind of set on the side for a period of time until we finally were able to get the official funding and official approval to move forward with it. And so, yeah, I would just say, like we all believed in it. We all like kind of stepped together and kind of created this thing. And then whenever the company and the market was right, that's whenever we kind of attacked it. So that was really cool.
Hmm. Yeah, it was amazing. So kind of coming back to Inhabit and what you do at Inhabit, do
Yeah.
you mind going through what your typical day looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So, at Inhabit, it's a lot like other companies that you and I have worked for in the past, where it's made up of a lot of startups, right? So we've acquired a lot of startups over the years. And so my role right now is kind of rolling out product management processes and the strategy across our short-term rental business. And so if it's like guests of short-term like Airbnbs, VRBOs, that sort of thing, or property managers that manage these properties, or, on my side, also the product managers that actually manage the products and rolling out solutions for them. And so it's really kind of depends on the day type of situation. Like you were talking about, like there's certain days where I'm having, meetings back to back all days. And then there's other days like tomorrow, I have a half a day that I've blocked off on my calendar to just focus on strategy, right? And so I'm looking at the future of the short-term rental business 5, 10 years from now, kind of like that AI solution that we were talking about before, and kind of looking at where we're gonna go in the next 5 to 10 years. So I'm taking a lot of time to work on strategy. I'm also working on rolling out, like I talked about earlier, some product management best practices across the organization, because there's no product process across all the organization that's the same. Everybody kind of does things differently. And so I'm really focused on that as well. And of course, AI really plays a big part in that, right? Because we're
Definitely.
utilizing AI in a lot of ways to do those things.
Yeah. It sounds like you're balancing both strategy and execution. So how do you decide what gets prioritized on any given day of the week?
Yeah, absolutely. So that's the hard part, right? Is there's a lot of fires that come up, like, oh, I need this for a specific client or whatever, and those have to be prioritized. So you just really have to be flexible and make whatever I plan for my day to be. It usually doesn't end up being that way. It usually is there's something that kind of comes in and I have to deal with. But I would say, a lot of times I still like to try to stay the course, what it is that I'm really here to do, right? Which is roll out product management best practices, automate as much of that process as I possibly can, and work on strategy for the short-term rental business and our products. And so I really try to stay at those core elements, but then there's always things that come up throughout the day that I have to also address. So I would say just continuing to focus on the things that I'm really here to do and that I'm here to make an impact for, and making sure that I have time in my calendar throughout the week to focus on those things. And then also still plug in times whenever I know that I'm going to get interrupted with other things that I really need to be focused on as well.
It all goes back to being agile again, huh?
Yes, being agile and being flexible, and not, the one thing that you can say for certain is that things are going to change.
hmm So at Inhabit, do you have any recent decisions or projects that you would be able to share?
Yeah, so we're really, focused on AI, of course. We're focused on the guest experience in a lot of ways and providing a unified guest experience and a unified property manager experience. A lot of our solutions were startups and they were developed, quite a few years ago. And so we just announced a couple of weeks ago that we're going to be migrating a lot of our property managers to one single platform. So we're unifying platforms, which is really great. So we're going through a huge migration process right now to get, our clients onto the best property management system that's going to meet their needs. And so we're really invested in that. We're invested in improving the user experience and the UI around that property management solution. And so those are big focuses for us right now. And those were big decisions that had to be made by the company on whether or not they were going to invest in those or just continue to allow us to manage 5 or 6 different property management systems. And so they decided to invest in that. And we're going down that process of migrating clients over to it. And that allows us to really take all of those resources that we would have been distributing across the company and take them and have them focus on one solution that is going to meet our clients' needs the best. So that's one big area that we've really been focused on. Another one is kind of looking at the future and seeing how AI is going to play a big role in that and where it's going to play a role. And so we've really been looking at that, and was a decision that was made, is that we need to really look at that. Everybody's talking about AI right now, but we want to make sure that we do it in the right way, right? That we're making concerted efforts that are really going to help our property managers and our guests have a better experience. We're not just throwing AI out for AI's sake, right? And that was a decision that we've made. We are working on some AI initiatives that, of course, I can't really disclose today, but we are concerted, focused on that effort as well.
All right. No, thank you for that. I would like to go back. You did touch briefly on the different industry trends that you're seeing in both prop tech and property management.
Yeah.
And we both know it's evolving very fast. And you mentioned AI and automation and different innovative technologies that are very hot right now. So I would like to ask you, we kind of understand that there's a major shift. So do you mind elaborating a little bit on, what you're seeing in the industry overall?
Yeah, absolutely. So that I took a little hiatus like a year or so ago, and I bought some short-term rental properties and invested in those, and I was running that business for a while. And so it's really given me kind of a unique insight into the short-term rental business because I actually own those as well. And so I'm seeing a lot of trends whenever it comes to just that guest experience and improving that. So for instance, instead of going to a website and performing a typical search like you would today, you might engage with a chat solution, whether it be voice or a chat bot that would help the guest identify properties that meet their needs, right? And so that's a big area that we're kind of looking at, and that's a trend that we're seeing is that guests are really expecting for us to meet them where they are and for us to identify a solution that meets their needs very quickly. And AI's played a really big role in this now. Instead of having to go and do a Google search and go through the top 20 Google results, and figure out which one's best for me for my particular solution, I'm actually now able to just go into ChatGPT or somewhere else and say, hey, I'm looking for a property for these dates and for this amount in this area and for 2 guests. And it'll immediately tell me, hey, here's the best property for you in your search criteria in ChatGPT, and here's other properties that might meet your needs as well. Do you want me to create a itinerary for you, right, for your trip? And then you say yes, and then it creates an itinerary. And so that all of that new experience that people are expecting, we also have to expose in our products, right? So those trends of getting information quickly, getting to the exact piece of information that you're looking for instead of having to delve through all the different solutions that might be there for you. And so that's a big one I would say is just really focused on guest solutions. Another one also that we're seeing is people have told me, I don't want to see another dashboard, right? I have 500 dashboards or 500 reports. What I want for you to tell me what I need to do, right? I want you to provide me insights and tell me what I need to do to take action to resolve whatever issues or concerns or to optimize whatever. I need for you to provide me that information. And so that's another area, instead of having to go and delve through reports and delve through dashboards and try to assess, what is it that I need to do to improve my business. I want to just walk in every day, look at something and it tell me, hey, here's the top 5 insights that you need to do today, right, to improve your business. That's another big one that I'm hearing a lot about. Also, just making it easier to interact. The property management system is massive, right? And so in order to train your staff to utilize a property management system, it takes weeks, if not a month or so, to get them trained up on it. And so we want to look at providing just easier ways for them to onboard and to utilize the solution that they don't have to go through in 6 weeks worth of training in order to do. And so those are kind of the trends that I'm seeing, is that just making it a lot easier for property managers to engage with the property management system, providing guests the better guest experience that they're expecting. Another area that I'm seeing with guest experience in my own personal short-term rental business is every single time somebody comes to the short-term rental property, no matter if I've sent them the video on this in advance, I've sent them all the information they asked me about how to turn the hot tub on. And so I'm looking at ways to provide maybe an NFC tag that is next to the hot tub that allows them to just click on it and a video pops up and shows them how to actually be able to operate the hot tub. So things like that people they just don't want to go through a list of things that I've told them about their guest check-in instructions and find the video. They just want me to tell them, right? And so those are some trends that I'm really seeing.
Yeah, no, those are very interesting examples. I was going to ask you, with those trends that you do see, or even with the challenges that you've mentioned, I guess how can you see, at least for the latter ones, I know we talked about AI quite a bit.
Yeah.
How do you see AI becoming new opportunities for those challenges?
Yeah, I think it just allows us to get to the answer more quickly, right? And utilizing AI to do that is, I think, the most important part, right? Instead of just giving them some data and them having to infer something from it, or them having to look at multiple properties to see which one fits their needs, just engaging with AI in order to be able to do that. So whether it be a chatbot that's on the property management system or in the Insights product, the BI solution, or a guest on the website, just being able to get to that information very quickly. And AI has the ability to do that, to synthesize data very quickly and provide those insights or those actions, or provide a process that they are able to implement to improve whatever it is that they're doing. So AI, I would say, is just getting us to the answer more quickly in a lot of ways and reducing the amount of time that we have to spend. From another angle of that, product management. So typically, you know how this works, Aaron, you would go through many weeks of gathering requirements and documenting those requirements and getting those over to a designer and having them design something, and then getting those designs over to a developer along with the user stories. And then, that could be weeks, if not months of time. And you're very well versed in all that process and are really great at it. But there's just so many opportunities where we can actually minimize the amount of time that we're spending on these things, which then frees up product managers to be more strategic in how they're developing these products, right? And what they're developing, which is the most important thing, right? Because AI can do a lot of things, but it can't always be strategic and know exactly what our clients want. It can give us ideas, but it's kind of up to us to go through that information and figure out what's important and what's not for our clients, and talking to clients and getting their feedback. So I would say that kind of goes into what we would utilize AI for as well, is just improving our processes, shortening the amount of time that it takes to do those things, like utilizing AI to create business requirements documents or user stories based upon client feedback that you've received that's in a Google Drive somewhere that you can point it to, or it automatically is integrated with, that creates these requirements documents. And you can easily create designs now and mock-ups, as before you needed like a designer to be able to do that. There's all kinds of AI solutions out there that are doing that, all the way through development and engineering. Being able to develop products, right, is another big area that you're able to utilize AI. So it really is touching all areas of our lives, and it's really an exciting time. So
No, I totally agree with you. I remember back in the day, we had to draw up wireframes and prototypes and kind of make something up for a demo. But now, even with like no code, AI assisted, programming,
yeah.
all of this becomes much quicker, more efficient. So no, thank you for framing the industry's current trends as well as what's going on in project management. I did want to talk about Inhabit as well, and what the current state is and what's been working well for you, as well as what's been frustrating for you, because it does sound like you are trying to utilize AI to optimize your day-to-day. So what's working for you right now? What's not?
Yeah, so I would say what's working right now is that at Inhabit particularly, we're allowed to be strategic and to be innovative. That's kind of our mission, is to be able to do that. And the company really allows you to be able to do those things, to do trial and error, to try these things. And so there's nobody in the company that I'm saying, hey, I want to automate business requirements documents, or I want to automate this customer engagement plan, or I want to automate whatever, right? They're like, okay, go try it. So that's really cool. And to be in such a big company and to be able to do that and have that autonomy is really cool. And so, yeah, that's one area. And then I would say, kind of what's hard is that there are data and privacy concerns around utilizing AI, right? So there are limitations at our company today, and at every company today, around what AI tools we can utilize, right? So we currently utilize Copilot, and it's great in a lot of ways. That's something that the company has decided that they are willing to invest in, and that it does improve a lot of our processes, especially when it comes to like rewriting emails or writing documents and that sort of thing. It does really great. But there's other tools out there, other AI tools that we could utilize even further to do things like create business requirements documents, create those designs. But we're kind of limited right now until we're able to provide funding for those other AI solutions and make sure that our data isn't getting out there to the world, right? So you need, instead of using ChatGPT, the free version, you need the actual enterprise version in order to protect our data and our PI. And so we're not able to use ChatGPT right now until the company is able to go through that process of vetting it out and we get funding for it. And so I would say that that's a little bit of a limitation today, is just being able to utilize all the AI tools out there. Right now we're kind of limited and we're, working to expand that tool set and everything, but it just takes time to identify which tools and what plans you need, and it doesn't meet our data requirements, and then getting it approved through corporate, it just takes a little time.
Right. So at Inhabit, it sounds like there are some AI product suites that you are offering. Are you seeing any user adoption challenges with that or even customer support issues?
Not really. I would say mostly everybody, there's just such a shift towards AI that it's no longer like whenever you and I were first launching AI products where it was kind of like, oh, what is AI? Like I think a lot of people now are really starting to understand a little bit more about it and start to use it. I was at an AI conference a couple of weeks ago, a Skift conference, and they were talking about, one of the presenters was talking about how the usage of ChatGPT is actually along the same usage lines of where Facebook was whenever it was first being adopted in the first 2 or 3 years. And so it's on the same trajectory of usage. And that was really interesting to me because I was kind of like, okay, we've now gone from what is this AI thing to people are utilizing it in their day-to-day activities. And so it's becoming more, I would say, mainstream than it used to be. And so it's not as scary for people as it used to be. And so I would say adoption hasn't been that big of a problem. I would say the one problem that we do have is getting the data, right? Your AI is only going to be as good as whatever the input is, right? And whatever the training is. And so that I would say that that's our biggest problem when it comes to adoption, is just getting the data in a place where we can utilize it for AI solutions.
Hmm. Yeah, it's funny how you mentioned that too, because I remember not so long ago, people would always be like, just Google it, just Google that.
Yes,
But now it's like, just chat GPT it. So the
exactly.
shift in that has been interesting.
Yeah, it's been really crazy. And it's not just us that's in technology. Like you expect us to be kind of embracing that because we're in technology. But I'm seeing people outside of technology just really embracing ChatGPT and utilizing it for all kinds of crazy things, like getting life advice or getting their colors matched to make sure that they're wearing the right colors and they have the right hair color, whatever. They're using it for all kinds of just like crazy things that you wouldn't even think about today. So I think, and also the fact that there's all these social media influencers now that are out there and they're teaching people how to utilize ChatGPT for different things. So people then go try it. There's a free version that they're able to try it with, similar to Google. And so, yeah, I think it's just like more widely accepted than it was. And it's really unique to see that it's outside of just the tech world that this is kind of taking hold.
No, totally agree. It's actually really interesting to see too, because although there's a lot of fear with, AI is going to be taking our jobs,
Yeah.
but at the same time, like you mentioned, it seems to be opening up a lot of opportunities as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think there is some fear around that a little bit at times, but I think people are also kind of getting past that a little bit where they're like, okay, I see that now as a product manager, it's not going to take my job. It's never going to be able to create an entire strategy around my client's very specific needs. But there are things that are within my processes that I would normally do as a product manager that I can automate, right? And that frees me up time to do those more strategic things, right? That I'm not able to do today because I'm so busy, just writing requirements. And so that's just an example. I think people are starting to come around to the idea of, hey, it's not going to take over our world. It's just going to make it a little bit easier, right? To do our jobs in a lot of ways, which then frees us up for the more important things that only humans can do.
Right. You mentioned how AI has been super helpful with freeing up time and also driving efficiencies. I wanted to ask you, are there any metrics that you are particularly focused on improving right now at Inhabit?
Yeah, so we were able to, with that AI solution that we created before the chatbot, we were able to reduce the agent's time by about 90%, right? So live agents were not answering chats 90% of the time. That was going to a bot, and then 10% of the time is rolling over to a live agent. So that's one example that we tracked way back in the day. Now I would say it's really improving, I would say, the onboarding time that it takes to onboard onto a product, right? So that's a big one. Instead of having to take 6 weeks for training, to be able to easily log into the system and say, hey, I want to make a reservation, and the property manager being able to do that very quickly with a bot instead of having to go through 6 weeks of training to figure out how to do that in the system. So I would say increased time to see your payback, right? So you bought this thing, need to utilize it, and now being able to utilize that a lot faster and not having to go through this rigorous training. So I would say your time for payback on your investment, your ROI, is one that's very important. And then I would also just say, the amount of time that it takes us to develop something, right? From what we were talking about earlier, having to create requirements, get designs done, and go through this strenuous process of getting something done, being able to get things to market a lot faster. So I would say that's another area. And then just being able to test things a lot faster, being able to say, oh, I'm going to do a prototype very quickly, and I'm going to see if this is something that we even want to develop. And so being able to just be more strategic in that way and not waste a lot of time, months and months and months developing something that then you're like, oh, well, our clients really aren't using or they don't care, right? Being able to do a quick prototype or being able to turn around the development very quickly is another thing that I'm really looking at.
No, thank you for that. I appreciate that insight. So now that we kind of understand the current state with the industry as well as at Inhabit, looking ahead, where would you want Inhabit to be 6 to 12 months from now?
Yeah, I would say I would really want, for just personally wise, for our product team to utilize AI more for their everyday roles and jobs, to be able to think about things a little bit differently and have that time to do that. So 6 months from now, I'd love for some of these processes that we do that are manual today that require us to actually be at our computers typing or whatever, to be able to do more of that through automation, and then having the product team being able to actually figure out processes that are going to reduce the amount of time that they're spending on this as well. So for instance, if you're asked to create a strategy document, that you're able to easily write a script or write something that goes in and actually goes and finds this information and populates the strategy document instead of you having to actually go in there and manually do it. So I would say just having product managers freed up their time in order to look at how can we continue to improve, our output or our ability to be strategic is something that I'm really focused on, and kind of automating those and creating prompts that makes it just easier for our product managers to do their job. So that's one area that I'm really focused on and I'm really excited about. Another one, 6 months from now, I want to have a lot of our clients migrated over to the new product that we've talked about earlier, and having them be happy and having them have been able to onboard quickly onto the solution instead of taking weeks to do that is another area. And then I would say really looking at AI in a different way from a guest experience perspective, instead of just saying, oh, I'm going to do a chat bot, right, that to answer questions about something. Actually being able to change the guest experience is another area that I would say 6 months from now, if we are doing things differently for guests and providing a better guest experience, and that would be a win as well.
You did mention a couple areas there. Out of those, if there was one major challenge today that you could resolve, what would it be?
One major challenge I would love is this, like, if we could utilize any AI solution out there without having to worry about our data, or our PI, right? That would be the one thing. If I woke up tomorrow and the company was like, hey, we have all of these agreements with ChatGPT and Gemini and, all these different AI solutions, and you can use them at will and you can go do all these things, then I would be like, that would be my dream come true, is if like tomorrow that were to happen. We're working towards it, it just takes time to get there. But if tomorrow they told me, you can utilize any AI solution and our data is protected and our PI is protected and you can utilize anything you want, then that would just like release us to be able to do all these really amazing things.
So speaking of delivery and being able to release these amazing products and amazing things, what would you say success would look like in terms of measurable terms?
Yeah. So I would say, from a product perspective, our net promoter scores for launching these new solutions would be very important. Like I said earlier, the amount of time that it takes them to onboard would also be very important as well. And then there's just all kinds of metrics that would be extremely important whenever it comes to this. User experience, how well they're adopting the different solutions. So there's all kinds of metrics that I'm going to be tracking as we launch these new products, but a few of those are just the ability to get to the value, right, faster for our clients, for them to be able to utilize the solution faster, understand how to utilize it to its max capacity and extent, the adoption of the solutions, as I mentioned. And then revenue. We all love revenue, right? So the ability to drive revenue for our company and to reduce churn for our clients, for them having to go to different solutions is another one that's really important as well. So lots of different metrics.
Oh, thank you for that. So before we close, I did want to ask you, as a leader in product and in PropTech, what advice would you give to other fellow product leaders or founders innovating in fast-moving industries?
Yeah, I would say, first you want to stay really close to the customer's actual workflow, right? You want to just do not just what they think they want, but what they actually need, right? Secondly, I would say you want to build cross-functional fluency. So AI blurs the lines between product and design and engineering and QA. And so those teams need to really work in lockstep with each other. And then third would be kind of to use AI and automation as a co-pilot, not an afterthought, kind of like we were mentioning earlier, to be looking at those things up front and saying, how can we save time or how can we provide a better guest experience? I would say those are really important aspects to really focus on. And then I would say, from my perspective, innovation really isn't just about adding features, right? It's about removing barriers and automating the work that gets done every single day that's going to make for a better guest experience or a property manager experience or even a product manager experience. So I would say those are areas that we really need to focus on and make sure that we're all aligned on.
And then finally, I guess, what's next for you personally, and what are you most excited about for Inhabit's future?
Absolutely. So next for me personally, I would say was continue to grow my short-term rental business. It's something that I'm passionate about and I love, is being able to help people go and guests to have a wonderful experience on vacation with their family and friends and that sort of thing. That's really important to me. And I love that. And so, yeah, continuing down that path, which then also allows me to understand what property managers go through on a day-to-day basis, right? I now understand what it is when electricity goes out in Puerto Rico on Easter weekend. I understand what kind of a pain that is. So yeah, so continuing to do that. And then I just really want to make an impact at Inhabit, make an impact to the product teams to make sure that they're being successful and that they're able to focus on the things that they really truly love to do, which is being strategic and innovative. That's another area that I'm really focused on from an Inhabit standpoint, and making sure that our vision is aligned with what we're actually working on, and that we have a good roadmap that everybody agrees to and we're all in lockstep around that. And then just providing a really great guest experience and a great property manager's experience, improving their day-to-day lives and making it easier for guests to book trips and to find their ideal location to stay, and being able to do that in an easier way, and providing insights to our property managers and providing ways for them to interact with our property management solution that just makes it a lot easier. Just areas that I'm really focused on. So just a lot of experience areas, everybody's experience.
That's awesome. All right, Jennifer, thank you so much for sharing all of your insights today. I think this has been an amazing conversation. And to listeners, if they want to learn more about Inhabit, they can visit inhabit.com. And that'll be it for today.